Great. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Thank you for your time this morning. Josh Ewan, Senior Analyst with your Economic Development Division. I'm very pleased to be here to talk about all of our efforts that we've had ongoing in the current year and what the next 2 years may look like with your vision and guidance moving forward. Our mission statement as an economic development group to the benefit of the city would be to maintain and enhance Brentwood's quality of life by developing an economy that is vibrant and diverse. And we're only as strong as our local business owners. And so the more that we can do to support business owners, not only as a city, but also as a resident population, to grow that base of business owners and investment in our community is to the benefit of everyone residing in Brentwood. So department organization, we're a division within the city manager's office. We are made up of, at this time, 2.0 full-time staff. And we're mighty but strong because everybody that works at the city, from the council members to the city staff, is all part of an economic development team. So no matter what we do as an organization, the face of the community is all about economic development and attracting businesses into our community that improve residents' quality of life and options for dining, entertainment, and doing business within our community. So in terms of department services, we have kind of a multifaceted approach. First, we focus on attraction. So whether it's the Innovation Center at Brentwood, industrial parks along Brentwood Boulevard, retail, regional, commercial centers, attraction is the name of the game, and we're trying to bring in new businesses and new retailers into the community that create economic development opportunities. So in order to do attraction, we need to focus on marketing and really building the brand, which is part of Better in Brentwood, but also the narrative that Brentwood is a choice community, really the jewel of East County, and businesses should want to be here, and we welcome their investment here within our city boundaries. We also focus on local business assistance. So really making sure that entrepreneurs and small businesses have the support, whether it's getting through policy framework, incentives, or just navigating the first-time startup of their business to be able to locate and open up and be part of our business community. So some of the programs that we have to support these services are the Better in Brentwood program, which is a trademark program that the city essentially owns. It's a quality of life marketing tool that we have. We use that to display the benefits of businesses being in Brentwood, as well as when they open or have various events, in order to get the communication out to the residents about the benefits that those businesses provide, and being able to show them what unique offerings we have in town. We also operate the annual Economic Development Grant Program, which provides 20% of all business license revenue received to local nonprofits and businesses to reinvest in the community through events and different activities. We also, as a staff, operate the City Council's direction on beautification programs. So in the last 2 years, we've done a outdoor dining facade or outdoor dining grant program to assist commercial restaurants with outdoor needs, especially in response to COVID, as well as right now we're managing your facade improvement grant program that'll come back to you this year. We also manage the business components of the ag enterprise, ag tourism, and trying to work with farmers and wine growers and all the components there to link the city to the ag core, and making sure that the tourism side of things and the positive benefits that go into the farms also has an opportunity to come into the city. And we also manage your council policy approved and funding sources for the incentive programs. So next slide, Tip. In terms of high level workload and really positioning Brentwood for the future, the Innovation Center at Brentwood is really where it's at. We want to focus continued investment there, which the council has approved through the capital improvement program, focusing on the Sand Creek extension as well as the Jeffrey Way utilities infrastructure to that area. And the economic development staff's purpose here would be to continue to move some of the pieces around relating to the specific plan and working with the community development department and the planning commission, as well as marketing the center. So really elevating Brentwood from a service retail side of things into potentially a next generation office campus, and really looking forward as a long-term vision here that the city is committed to jobs growth. We want to improve the life of residents who may be commuting and give them options by working with developers and end users to come and locate to the Innovation Center. So you'll actually see a staff report on December 21st that talks about hiring a marketing group, and that marketing group would help the city with brand positioning and really getting out to the market as much as we can to the Bay Area market to induce development into the Innovation Center, or at least raise some eyebrows that this is the next place for them to be. Staff is also managing the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing Districts, or EIFDs. So that's a multi-year process that will include the Innovation Center with some potential revenue sources for targeted new investment, as well as Brentwood Boulevard and downtown, and capturing revenue from new development and using that for public improvements based on council's approved plans, as well as an outside public financing authority. So we continue to move forward with that. We'll have some additional actions before you this fiscal year. Economic development staff is also supporting community development on specific plan updates for Brentwood Boulevard and downtown. We think that these plans could use some improvement from an economic development lens, and council and the planning commission will be involved in future meetings. And really, staff on the economic development side would be glad to provide you some background and input as we work with the community on their desires and be able to position Brentwood Boulevard and downtown for the future. We're also working with the downtown on the Main Street America certification, which the council approved this year. The council approved a MOU with the Downtown Brentwood Coalition for a 3-year engagement to hire an executive director, find a physical office space, and certify as a Main Street community, one of only a few hundred communities nationwide that meet that strict certification. And I'm glad to announce that the Downtown Brentwood Coalition has made a selection on their executive director, a Brentwood resident, and we'll be working with the DBC to inform council through a formal notice from the DBC about who that person is and their starting date. But it's very exciting to see the movement there, and with council's vision and allocation of funding resources to be able to do this. So we're glad to move that forward for you. So these just tie back to some of the high level workload. We have EIFDs, we have Main Street America, we have a national program. We're looking to continue to support community development on the Brentwood Boulevard and downtown specific plans, and everything we do with community promotion. We've had a good holiday season. So I didn't mention at the beginning, but happy holidays to everyone here, as well as happy holidays to our business community. We're here to push out the word that people should, and residents throughout East County, should shop in Brentwood and keep their money local for the Brentwood community. Additionally, we're working on facilitating hospitality and retail development at Sand Creek and Highway 4. The development and retail end user community likes the market position of Lone Tree at Highway 4, just because the intersection of essentially 3 communities and their trade area there. We feel as there's infrastructure development with Sand Creek, that Sand Creek at Highway 4 is really going to be the next node of commercial development. We continue to support Fairborn Properties, which is the owner of Streets of Brentwood, and talking about possible development scenarios there, incentive structures and that sort of thing, so that they can continue to attract potential new retail to their development. As well, there's potential development at the south side of that intersection with Lockhouse LRG, representing potential new full-service restaurant type uses, as well as hospitality coming into that site. And so we'll be hopeful to announce new development as it comes along to the community and the council and provide that information. One of the components that we also do, which is really kind of a lot of background work, is retail attraction and working with property owners and brokers just to create a personal relationship that the city is all gears working towards retail attraction and development in the community and clearing the path for future development. So in retail attraction, the city staff will be out targeting and cold calling different retailers, national tenants, as well as local tenants, and then talking with property owners and brokers about how to best position their site. They may come to staff and ask about specific feedback relating to a user or a type of use, and we'll give them feedback based on the applicable zoning and general plan, as well as what we feel may work within the Brentwood market. We are hearing some positive news. Rents and that sort of thing are really rebounding out of COVID, especially along the Lone Tree Corridor. And we're seeing some possible future development and announcements in 2022, which may be positive for the community. And so we'll be able to work with those brokers and developers and end users to announce that once they're ready. Another item that we have in our workload is really trying to represent the city on development of surplus property. So the Oversight Board and the Successor Agency have about 5 properties that may be poised for development. So we're working through a plan there. As well, the City Council in the last 2 years has taken actions to surplus city properties that didn't have any value, and we'll be a little bit more strategic with those. And right now we're working to create an RFP and return to you with a plan of how we'll position all those properties for sale, where they make significant reinvestment in the community and they actually better the community. As well, the staff is managing the Commercial Beautification Facade Improvement Grant Program. We'll be returning to you based on the Land Use and Development Committee's recommendations on December 14th with a list of awardees, both for the downtown and citywide projects. And then Better in Brentwood, we have an annual ongoing program. We have budget through contractual services and marketing to engage a consultant team to represent the city through the Better in Brentwood platform, as well as that trademark. And we have a marketing awareness campaign that we've been pushing out. So if you've seen really with the holiday push, we through city social media and Better in Brentwood social media, we've created multiple videos relating to Shop Local, as well as Small Business Saturday. So we'll continue to beat the drum about the benefits of shopping local and retaining sales in the community, as well as tax dollars. So here we have, as I mentioned, there is a site off of Sand Creek and Highway 4, which could be poised as a hospitality opportunity. Staff over the last 2 years has worked to solicit interest in that property and actually engage with the developer, who entered into a purchase agreement with the State Route 4 Bypass Authority to develop that site and close on it. And the idea would be is it's hospitality or regional commercial that's consistent with the general plan. Focusing on retail attraction, staff's perspective is that Streets of Brentwood has some great opportunities. It's really the nicest lifestyle-oriented center in East County, so we continue to work with that developer and property owner and their broker team to see how we can work out some opportunities there and support them as tenants come in. In addition, Better in Brentwood, it's an ongoing activity for us. Staff is always touching this platform. We manage a team of consultants, and it really helps us to convey the benefits of businesses to locate here, and we use it as a tool just to show the quality of life, and it covers various aspects from business to parks to regional attractions to farm tourism. So we use that as really our platform. Here's a couple local businesses, as well as an event that was held that economic development facilitated through the Makers Market in downtown, which happens once a month. In addition, we have our annual economic development grant program, which supports local nonprofit organizations in delivering community events. And so that's everything from the holiday parade to the Banner Up program, in addition to others like Brentwood on Ice. Staff also supports and manages the agricultural enterprise business program and all the special projects that are associated that are requested by the farmer groups through Harvest Time in Brentwood, as well as Contra Costa wine growers. So we continue to work with them. And then we anticipate moving forward with scheduled standing meetings of that committee. And then we also assist with the downtown banner program and the decorative lighting program in downtown. And so we manage that and coordinate kind of the seasonal approaches, whether it's working with Banner Up or the holiday season or farmers market. We also coordinate with facility staff and public works to do the decorations in City Park and on City Hall with the wreaths and bows and lighting and that sort of thing. So we appreciate all the partnerships and all the other departments to help support making Brentwood a beautiful destination and place to be. As well, economic development represents the city through regional agency representation. So this would be through California State GoBiz, East Bay EDA, various East Bay consortium groups, in addition to the International Council of Shopping Centers, the International Economic Development Council, and other resources that are available to us, not only as a leadership and learning tool, but also just talking about what other partners are doing in the area and how we can maybe strategize to make Brentwood stand out in the market. So in terms of challenges, there's really not truly challenges, just more opportunities for the city and economic development looking forward. One of the things that we just wanted to stress is that economic development does take time. And I know the community and residents are looking for things to change. And so what the city's role here would be, as we do forward planning, whether that's to the Innovation Center or Brentwood Boulevard or downtown, is that we kind of look forward, set the policy, set the plan, and then staff goes out and works the plan on behalf of the council and the community. And it does take time to really realize significant results. And so development takes time from concept to reality. And so we continue to work things through. The reality is that at some point, the policy decisions that you today make as a council may not have actual benefits until future councils down the line. In addition, we just wanted to say that we are still coming out of COVID. So we're still hearing chatter about concerns related to COVID, that the market still is kind of rebounding and figuring out what's happening in California and in the Bay Area. And so there's some hesitancy in some groups, and that really relates to a developer being able to move forward with a project. So one of the things that we have as a community is really somewhat limited inventory for new, other than at some certain properties, but really not a lot of new inventory that's coming online. So as we see that in the future, and as COVID kind of becomes more certain, some of the developers and retailers that are associated with them may be able to lock down some deals and move forward with their projects. In addition, something we're hearing nationwide, but kind of a regional component, is construction costs. Construction costs at this point are difficult in the market. The rents aren't justifying new construction. And so projects kind of have a start-stop to them as development understands what their tenant's going to look like. They go out to bid projects, and sometimes construction costs may delay them. And this really would affect more of your smaller time development, smaller developers, and small businesses, because of the construction costs may be higher than what they realized in their original projections. But we're here as staff to support them. And so what we have through the city council is incentives, so we can help support and market those available opportunities if it helps close the deal and brings a retailer or user who really appeals to the Brentwood residents. One of the things that we also do is balance confidentiality with transparency. So in working, staff has confidential relationships with developers and potential tenants. And so as they look at our market, they may not necessarily be settled on a location. They may not necessarily have a deal. So they ask to keep everything confidential. And our response to them is, when can we release the information? Because our community and our council would like to know. And as soon as they get to a deal point, which is typically at a development application, we would be able to release that information to the community. So there is somewhat of a balance there. In addition, another challenge, but is a great opportunity, is our staffing. So currently we're at 2.0 FTEs, so full-time staff. And that's a half-time acting assistant city manager, one senior analyst, and one half-time limited service senior analyst. So we're working on all cylinders. We have a lot of current workload, and we're trying to move things forward. On the horizon, we have the city has a current recruitment for a assistant city manager with an economic development focus to lead the ship, as well as potentially an economic development manager. And the city manager will return back on what that organizational structure may look like in the future. But just glad to kind of keep things moving at the best to our abilities, and look forward to the next 2 years as we continue to staff up. So in terms of proposed goals and initiatives, we're really excited about this based on the comments that we received from the council at the last planning input session, and what we've been able to refine and bring forward today. One of the first goals and initiatives that we're going to be recommending is implementing strategic actions related to downtown and the Brentwood Boulevard specific plan. which will be adopted hopefully sometime in 2022. And so with that, there'll be identifiable goals and actions. And so economic development may be in the position to be able to assist some of those activities. So we don't necessarily control infrastructure. That would be a council decision in coordination with the city engineer and public works. But what we could do is work on potentially selling successor agency and city-owned real property. The idea would be is that we report back to the council with a plan in the next year, and then we could also discuss what we do with potential revenue. There's certainly going to be a strategy to this, but the idea right now would be that we have about 5 successor agency properties. They would possibly move first, and those properties range from industrial to commercial office to potential retail sites. And those are all located within the Brentwood Boulevard and downtown areas. And so we think there's potentially some market for that. Get them on the market and see if we can have some quality development come forward, and then present that through a couple different actions, but we'd be glad to bring the council into the fold there. We'd also, in terms of Brentwood Boulevard and downtown, at the request of council, this was an item to potentially explore. We do believe that we could use incentives to try to attract higher tier unique businesses. We are hearing from the community that they would love to have higher tier, and we agree with them. So how can we help support and elevate the brand of Brentwood Boulevard and the northeast and east side of the community? And so we've heard from development that they have interest in the area. So maybe the city works on a public infrastructure plan, as well as we can possibly issue some incentives. The cost at this point could be anywhere from zero, because you already have existing incentives, incentive policy, up to $500,000, which may be able to be used to attract some retailers. We'd be very focused and strategic on how we use that money and who we attract, where we're involved as a city. On the second goal, we're talking about enhancing the city's marketing and economic development programs. So some of these items are capturing retail leakage, promoting local businesses, and also key investments. So one of the things that communities often hear in the economic development world, and this isn't unique to Brentwood, is that how do we enhance retail recruitment awareness and prioritize activities that display that the city is acting to induce new retail and commercial development. So some of the ideas here would be, how do we educate the community that the city is acting on their best behalf and trying to attract new retail development into Brentwood? So some of the items that we could look at here in this strategy between 25,000 to 50,000 would be a retail recruitment strategy. It could be a marketing strategy. We could do a survey with the community, just components where we want to have the community engaged in the retail, what the retail environment looks like. And we can use some of that based on reality. We can go out and chase some of the and do some attraction with some of those potential tenants, as well as we certainly should be aspirational. So shoot to the highest tier, and let's go attract the big fish in the market that really are going to represent a quality investment in Brentwood. So the second item here is boosting the Better in Brentwood brand. So we could do expanded marketing services and promote local shopping and business support. Right now, the city spends through our operational budget about $60,000, and that's for various consultants that relate to marketing for the Better in Brentwood brand. So that would be, we have a full website which just went through a refresh. It's betterinbrentwood.com. So we implore the community to go look at that. As well as we have all the social media at Better in Brentwood, hashtag Better in Brentwood. We have so we have somebody who manages all those services for us. In addition, we have somebody who writes copy and does photography and also videography. So as you see things come through Better in Brentwood, it's all through the city funded initiative, and that's typically about $60,000 a year. Still less than a full-time person, a staff member, but so there's certainly a good return on our investment. We run it lean, we run the program lean, but if council does want to, we can really take, at this point, we're focused Better in Brentwood on a local Brentwood brand. We're reaching residents, getting them to possibly go out and spend money here locally, show them that there's unique businesses that are open. What we could do is possibly promote Better in Brentwood as more of a regional tourism component, focusing in East County, focusing in the Tri-Valley, and then also trying to partner with both of the tourism groups, the ag tourism groups, so Contra Costa wine growers and Harvest Time, to see if we could expand and reach other areas of the market, and trying to really get that tourism in. So our estimated cost here is anywhere between $25,000 to $75,000, and that could be marketing services, that could be potentially staffing. Just depends on how far the council would like to go. And then the last item here is agriculture and business promotion partnership with organizations to plan, create, and scale a destination and tourism facility. The idea here is we want to draw people into, whether it's downtown or somewhere within the city limits. So as a visitor or family comes here to come see the great farms and great attractions that we have, they could also come in and go to our visitor center, much like you may see in Lodi, Livermore, San Luis Obispo. So what we'd like to do is maybe look at that as a model, and then try to understand more from feasibility, talk to our partners, and then scale that depending on potential demand, as well as capacity from partner organizations to operate a facility like that. And so at this point, we think we can go through planning. If we can identify a facility, maybe we can get in the door for about $75,000, but that can really be to be determined, and we'd come back to the city council with a capital improvement plan project, and some feasibility information about how that can maybe work over the next 2 years. So with that, I think that is it. So thank you for the opportunity to talk about why we're excited to continue the initiative process with you over the next 2 years. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Josh, I do have a question for our very thoroughly prepared council gets to all my questions like they did last time. Then I didn't get to ask them because they were already asked. But one of the things I'd like for you to maybe just briefly hit on is what some of the incentives would be, just a kind of an 30,000-foot description, so that some of our community members that might be listening, if they have relationships with corporations, businesses, tech industry. I know that we have a lot of residents here in town that were retired CEOs and presidents and really high-placed positions in some of the type of industries we're wanting to attract here. And if they have a relationship, they could potentially get us at the front of the line or in a door that hasn't been opened previously to us. And if you could give them maybe just a little bit of information, conversation-wise, that they could make a phone call and say, hey, Brentwood is offering this.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we're open for business, so please come to Brentwood. We're your best choice in the East Bay market. So that's kind of the pitch point. But what we have in terms of incentives is a variety of options to us. One of the things that we have to work with, really there's a couple, but the first is we have to make sure we follow state law. So the state law does provide guidance relating to how municipalities provide incentives and what triggers prevailing wage. So typically the structure that we'd be looking at would be probably first and foremost building permit and impact fee deferrals or abatements. So if you're a regional retailer, a hotel, or some other component, depending on your project value, we may be able to provide an incentive that offsets your building costs. And so what that would be on the backside for the city is just an internal transfer between funding accounts in order to incentivize and induce that development to come to Brentwood. If you're a company that employs multiple individuals and you're looking to locate here, there's probably quite a few options, and we can continue to work and have a dialogue with them. We may be able to work on infrastructure to a development site. We may be able to work on tenant improvements. We do work within the council-approved framework. There's a council administrative policy for what policy guidance looks like relating to incentives. Anything under 100,000 is negotiable at the or executable at the city management level. Anything over $100,000 will come back to council. In any case, we still do a full financial feasibility report relating to any incentives that we issue, as well as post those on our website and bring council into that process. So yes, we have incentives that are available. please come talk to us, and we'd be glad to walk anybody through that process.
I just have a couple more things. One of the things you mentioned is capturing retail leakage, which is absolutely essential, but there are also other kinds of leakages in our community. One of the biggest ones that I constantly, and I know other council members constantly get hit up as well, is about our athletic travel teams and our athletes leaving the community. There are multiple millions. I don't have the number, but I know what it costs one family to put one child on a travel team, and we have many hundreds of kids in town and their families taking our resources and our finances out of our community. And I would definitely like part of our moving forward for economic development to reverse the flow of those funds as well. And there's something that I would like to get your input on. I'd like to see if the city could partner with some of our local businesses to create an electronic market with local fulfillment, something along the lines of a local Amazon process. I know a lot of our families do a lot of online shopping, and we have some businesses, one in particular that's getting international recognition, but some businesses in town that specialize in online marketing and electronic market information. And if we could potentially tap into that and see what's already out there to help incorporate some of our local businesses to be a fulfillment center instead of just automatically hopping onto Amazon and shopping and spending our money outside of town, maybe we could find a way to partner locally with a local business to create a mini shopping structure similar to that. And you may have information on the feasibility of that, but I think if we can use a couple of these things, focusing on our local companies as well, it could be beneficial to us.
We might be able to leverage the Better in Brentwood brand to create a shopping site of local business. Oops. Oh, sorry. Closer. We might be able to leverage the Better in Brentwood and create a shopping hub for local businesses just on that platform, since we already have that. That might be easier to do. And I think I'm understanding you right. You want people to shop our local stores in one place that they can find everything locally?
Absolutely. Make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's an outstanding idea for Better in Brentwood.
Yeah, and even like local produce delivery is a huge thing, so you could leverage the local agriculture as well.
And we are working on that with the local farmers through the Ag Enterprise,
Yeah, that's awesome.
through the Brentwood Grown.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I had a question.
I'm done. Yes.
I think it's great we give grants. I think it's the right thing to do for the city. Recently, we received like a tax report from Tim. Thank you for that. And just looking at the different income that the different centers make. And with our grants, I think I haven't seen it. Do we do an ROI? We give out these grants, and what exactly is it generating for the city? So I think that's something we should probably start doing, because when we're making our decisions, we should probably be investing where we get the biggest bang for our buck. So maybe start looking at where do we spend dollars and where are we getting the biggest return on those investments might be something we look at. And because if we could give more money to people that are, to businesses that are going to generate more revenue and generate more incoming warm bodies from other stores to shop, that might be a good thing to do, is one thing I was thinking about. Innovation Center, I know we were down to I think 3 different plans. We were all on that meeting, but I haven't heard anything about it since then. And it looks like we're going to marketing, but are we even finalized yet as a council to move on to marketing yet? Have we made all of the decisions? I know I wasn't happy with the way the parks were made. There were strips, and we were going to look at updating that. We want parks that kids can play in, not just something someone walks along. So when is that coming back before it goes to the marketing team?
Great. So you'll get an update related to the specific plan items. We won't necessarily be approving those this will be on December 21st. And then we'll talk about what the marketing may look like to reflect your desired changes. The community development is assisting economic development with the specific plan updates. We currently have a consultant engaged, a professional planning consultant and CEQA consultant. So we're working through that right now. And all the changes are based on the direction we received in May of 2021 relating to the master plan. So parks, school policy, infrastructure, trail network, land use table, all that will be presented to both the Planning Commission and City Council, possibly start of 2022 through spring. And so anything that we do in terms of marketing is all about elevating the brand. So we won't, in every development that comes in there is going to be kind of what we call like a just-in-time development. So you bring in infrastructure at a certain time with development, and as development comes in. So the idea is to boost the brand and the profile of the Innovation Center being a next generation hub, and really getting on the, and we'll talk about this more on the 21st, but really getting on the radar for developers and the Bay Area community that we're here to play in the same market that the Tri-Valley plays in East Bay.
I have a follow-up question on that. As she said, there was 3 different types of design that we were looking at, and I was a little disappointed at that last meeting, because we were supposed to choose one of the 3 designs, but instead the consultant chose the design of which way we would go. So, you know, that I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I was a little disappointed in that, and why that one was chosen and brought to us versus letting us decide which one we wanted.
So maybe it just has to come back again, and we talk about it some more. I don't know how that happens, but.
Yeah, Josh, can you clarify that?
Yeah, so the Innovation Center planning exercise that we went through, about a year's worth of community engagement, 4 public town halls, 2 council meetings with a joint session with the Planning Commission, and then we got to May of 2021. And the idea is that the plan is really highly flexible, and will modify the land uses, the land use table, to reflect the city's vision. So in all 3 development scenarios, it's really geared towards what does the development community want to bring, because you could have a large campus development, for instance, like a Facebook in Menlo Park comes in and they decide to locate here in Brentwood because we're the next potential market for the future, and they take a sizable chunk. Or you have multiple small development over time. So it's really meant to be flexible, and what the council approved back in May of 2021 really sets the framework for what you'll see coming up through the specific plan amendment, but it's still going to be highly flexible. And the idea is really bringing in future employment and then meshing that in with a quality of life component related to residential, parks and trails, and that sort of thing.
I don't think that answered the question.
Yeah.
As I said, I understand they're flexible. You know, you've got the different parcel owners too, but there was the 3 that came to us, and the consultant or staff made the decision on which of those 3 plans, instead of allowing us to do it. And again, I don't know that we approved it because we were in joint meetings, so it's not a matter of approving it. It was here's what we're going to do. So I was a little disappointed in that, and wish that the council had a little bit more input versus being told. Because there was one where all the buildings, you know, had the front of the highway, so that somebody's marketing, I mean, with their big signs on their buildings, that was one option, which was a good option. I mean, that was one of the things that they talked to us about, was that this would allow us to have great marketing, and that people will really want to come to that area. But we'll move on. I'll let Councilmember Mendoza finish with her questions, and then I have more.
Yeah.
If I could just jump in real quick, then can we get Josh? Can you answer that question? Are those concepts still open-ended, or are they closed as was suggested? Because I don't think we're actually have narrowed those down. Can you clarify that, please?
Right. So it's still somewhat open-ended, but what we did receive was very clear direction that the master plan would move forward based on that May of 2021 direction from the city council at that time. So we're working through kind of different scenarios, but there's multiple options that are available to the council. You'll be able to see that when we come back to you through the specific plan update process. And there'll be a lot of policy language about flexibility relating to all kinds of elements of the specific plan. So you'll have a chance to take another bite at it. And ultimately, I think as a city, the best position that we would potentially have is being flexible to any type of future employment related development. And if they want to be on the freeway, they can be on the freeway. If they want to be towards Hideout and Ranch, they can do that as well. So it's really just about having kind of a framework for what the vision is moving forward. And that specific plan will reflect that with your input and finalization.
Yeah,
So-
I don't mind being flexible, but I do mind sacrificing the quality of life for the people that are going to live there, because we know there's going to be townhouses and apartments. So that's something I'm not willing, I mean, I'm only one vote, but I wouldn't want to sacrifice, that open space for residents, because we know there's going to be families there. And the last thing we want to do is just throw them like, oh, here's an afterthought of a strip of grass. So I'll always select residents first and their quality of life. So flexibility, yes, but deal breakers definitely exist in my mind for myself. So, okay.
So what we'll plan to do on December 21st is bring back some additional information to clarify from that May 2021 workshop, just to make sure we're all on the same page about what was approved, what wasn't, so that we can move forward on that.
Yeah.
And also why we spent 2 years on the PA1 specific plan, which was just trashed, to create a
Tweaked.
whole different thing.
Yeah.
So
We'll walk through all that evolution, from the specific plan to the marketing plan to the specific plan,
Yeah.
master plan. Yeah, we'll have all that on the 21st.
And maybe a compare contrast to what the original plan was, like how many units, how many head count we expect, how many park acreage, what was it before, what was it then? What have we sacrificed down the road, so that we else that are new understand the history also. Side by
Absolutely.
side. I'm
Yep.
always good on the side by sides. Like flipping from two different projects is hard for me. So, okay. And then Main Street America, I know we have that head count that we're going to be paying for. So an ROI on that head count. And I think we had talked about getting reporting on what this person was doing. So making sure we're on top of that. And maybe it's just in a memo format on what council gets, unless you all want to present it during council. But what is that head count doing, and what are their accomplishments for the quarter would be fantastic, to make sure that the money we're investing is they're actually getting stuff done. That was on that. Better in Brentwood, how do we decide what businesses are featured? Because, I love the ice skating rink, but I feel like the ice skating rink gets a lot of play, and there's a lot of other businesses that aren't getting any attention. So how do we make sure that we are supporting businesses on our Facebook site across the city? How do we do that? How does that happen? What's the process for that?
Right. So there's two components. One is our Better in Brentwood consultant, who manages the copy, will reach out to unique businesses that are maybe elevating their profile. So they'll get contacted and get a photography shoot, as well as a copy informational, and they'll end up on the Better in Brentwood website and social media. Staff also has conversations. So if we're talking about, hey, I'm a new business, I just opened up, how do I do this? Or how do I get a permit? Or, hey, I'm maybe having a hard time related to COVID. So that was a discussion we had. And staff's approach would be, hey, let us help you. We'll come out, we'll do free marketing. All this is done is for free. So all of your copy, all of your photography is all included. So as part of your business license fee. So we're open. If there's a business that is interested, please come talk to us. And economic development staff would be able to assist you through that Better in Brentwood platform. And then we would just urge any business in town that is looking for a little bit of marketing traction, tag yourself to hashtag Better in Brentwood, and just work through all the social media channels, because we do have a following that they may not be tapped into at this time.
Okay. And last is just a thank you, Josh. Again, I think I thank you, but thank you for going out and working with all of the businesses that have never applied for grants before to fill out the applications. I know it was a daunting task, but you took a Friday morning and you went out and helped them. So I really appreciate that. And I'm excited to get those grants moving forward. So thank you for everything.
Thank you.
So I want to say I'm excited about the 100% incentive for higher tier unique businesses. How are we working with property owners to bring in those unique businesses? Because as we know, the property owners are the ones that decide who's going to be on their sites, not necessarily us. So how do we bridge that communication to bring those and tell them that, hey, we'll work with you to do this, to bring the higher tier businesses to your site?
Thank you, Councilmember Rare. Yeah, this is a good point. So in order to receive any type of incentive funding that the council would allocate, they would have to really be a higher tier unique business, something that elevates the profile of Brentwood Boulevard or downtown, if you're considering this as a strategic initiative. What we would do is contact the developer, just find out what their plans are, potential tenants. Sometimes they're receptive, sometimes they aren't receptive, as well as working with potential developers to come into the market along the Brentwood Boulevard corridor. The incentive discussion is always part of the discussion. So we tell them, hey, what can we do to elevate the business profile? Hey, what do you think about getting this, what I would call a stretch retailer, somebody who maybe isn't in the market, who's a little bit more aspirational for Brentwood and East County? And how do we maybe attract them here? Hey, what do you think about bringing that retailer in? And by the way, the city can assist, if there's a gap in your pro forma or something related to that tenant, we really want to see them here. So how about the city could assist you through a building permit fee reduction or impact fee reduction based on the council policy and state law? So we work within that framework, and it's really talking to developers and knowing that the relationship building is all part of it too, and that there are options to them if they feel that incentives are the way for them to go.
But what are we doing to attract those higher tier businesses? I mean, I had sent off the thing about the retail business or the retail conference in Las Vegas. So is that something where you're going to make appointments down there to see, or are you going to be attending that? And if so, are you making appointments ahead of time to go and see the different retailers that we want to bring to our city?
Yeah, so we are part of the International Council of Shopping Centers. We're a member agency. We haven't attended a conference since what we had planned to attend was March 2020, the regional conference in Monterey. So now ICSC is relaunching those developer and retail coordinated meetings. And so the meeting that you mentioned is upcoming. Staff won't be able to attend that particular meeting, but what we're planning to do is in March, should ICSC launch their regional Monterey conference, we'll attend that, as well as what is typically the largest conference for this type of industry, Recon in Las Vegas in May of 2022. So we plan to attend those events. In addition to attraction, we keep a hit list. Again, it's about balancing confidentiality with transparency, but we do make code calls to people who aren't in the market that we see maybe are making moves throughout California, and we issue an invitation to come explore Brentwood and talk to us more. And we do have conversations with people who aren't in the market. One of the things that has kind of changed in the economic development industry is it used to be that you'd set a meeting with a potential client or developer for the International Council Shopping Center conference 6 months in advance, and you set that up. Now we can do a Zoom meeting with developers, and that's really paid dividends. And hopefully we'll get maybe some wins in 2022, and we'll just continue to beat the drum that Brentwood's the place to be, and we can continue to coordinate so that we can get some wins in the future.
Thank you. This next question isn't necessarily to you, but I know that when we created the assistant city manager position, the reason why I was an assistant city manager and not an economic development manager was so that they could be on the same level as the directors to try to make things move forward instead of having to go to the city manager to make things move forward in the other departments. So I'm a little disappointed that it's listed as only a half-time position as the assistant city manager, because the intent behind it was always to be a full-time economic development manager, to really make things move in this department. So I would like to see that return back to a full-time assistant city manager overseeing economic development and not half-time. And we were supposed to have 2 full-time staff in economic development, yet we're down to a half a staff. So I don't know how that also moved down to a half staff. I think if we really want to push this forward, I'm sure Josh is just overloaded with stuff that he needs to get done. And the more help that we can give for economic development, the better off we are going to be to attract those businesses to our town. So I would like to see the resources changed back to a full assistant city manager for economic development and 2 full-time staff, and not a half a staff in that department, as we're supposed to have, because it was Josh and can't think of her name. Peggy, thank you. It was Josh and Peggy as full-time staff members and the assistant city manager. So that I would like to move forward on. I would actually, for the Better in Brentwood, the consultant, how many years have we had that consultant online now? 3 years?
It's been a few years. I don't have it in front of me, but I want to say it was a 2016 or so launch of Better in Brentwood as a brand campaign, and then I believe the local consultant has been working on that since then.
So, and you said that we're spending $60,000 a year on the Better in Brentwood site?
On multiple consultants. So this would be website maintenance, hosting, and upgrades, photography, copy, as well as videography, using about 4 or 5 different consultants to kind of bring that all together.
Okay. Since we've been on since 2016, and we only have about 150 businesses that are listed on here, I mean, I would go out myself and help to bring more businesses onto this. If you need help with that, because 150 businesses, I mean, that's hardly anything compared to what's out there. And I know, because when COVID hit, I started contacting restaurants. And I mean, we probably have 150 restaurants or more in our city. I was surprised how many restaurants we actually have in our town. So the more, I mean, if we're really going to utilize this, we need to get more businesses on there. And even if it's just a link to their website, and until a spotlight can be done. Because we do have the categories over to the side, and somebody can click on a category that, and so we have more businesses on there. And I would be willing to jump in and help with that, because I know you are stretched as far as staff. The one last question I have is, the Ag and Business Promotion Partner organization to plan, create, and appropriately scale a tourism facility. Can you go into more detail of what that actually means?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you, Councilmember. So there's probably a lot of different components. The idea here is that we're trying to find the link between tourists and people who are going to farms and into the community city limits. So there's a lot of models out there. One of the models that staff likes, and we've heard through different discussions, and maybe it's worth exploring more to see if it's feasible, is there's a winery incubator and tourism facility at the port of Walla Walla, Washington, which was led by the port. And so
my Walla Walla's back, yay!
So, I mean, the idea here is that that ultimately would be the goal as a high level item to work towards over the next 2 years. But really, we need capacity. I don't think that the city would be in the position to operate a facility or build a facility like that, but we can certainly support it. So what we want to do in working through that is talk with Harvest Time in Brentwood and Contra Costa Wine Growers. Both organizations are currently going through a tourism strategic plan process and an organizational development plan process. And once they have that, maybe we can find out some of the components that lead towards that down the line, and whether or not they feel they have the capacity or how they could build the capacity to do something like that. So it's just an idea. There's a whole bunch of other opportunities regionally that we see, whether it's, and these are typically hosted by like visit organizations or Conference and Visitors Bureau, which Brentwood doesn't have. One of the things that would be able to allow us over time to have would be maybe a partnership with regional agencies, or creating more hotels that create more room stays, so that there's a little bit of a pot of money to create a Conference and Visitors Bureau. But that's probably down the line more. What we're thinking with this initiative is we start off kind of small. We talked with both organizations. We talked about capacity, both at the city and an organization that wants to be involved, and then how it could benefit the community in the city in terms of ROI, to be able to bring visitors into whether it's downtown or the city limits, and then really build on a plan and build to scale. So that may be a small little visitors facility. So if something like a Visit Lodi or Visit Livermore, where you can maybe go in and understand more about the farms, the downtown, maybe even do a quick little wine tasting or olive oil tasting that represent our great farms here, and then be able to understand what that looks like operationally as well as its impact, and then be able to scale that over time to maybe something like a Port of Walla Walla in Washington. But we're open to suggestions, and this would be your initiative, so we can work through a planning process over the next few years to get that potentially lined up.
Well, we do have that plot of land right there at Oak and Walnut, and I believe that's city-owned, not just successor-owned. And that would actually be a great place to have that, because it's right there in the downtown area, which would then actually expand the downtown area, because people generally look at Brentwood Boulevard as where downtown ends, but it actually ends on the other side of Walnut. So this would help to expand that downtown experience. And one of the things it said for the Walla Walla was that the incubator programs are funded by grants from both the port and the state. So if we could look at state grants that might help us with this program. And they also worked with the community college to create a enology and viticulture program, which is a 2-year hands-on wine education program that prepares students into the world of winemaking, which then those students are the ones that they offer this facility to. So I love the idea of the Walla Walla. I've been excited about this since the first time Peggy brought it to us. I actually went to her about it, and she says, well, I'm already looking at this, and she showed me the Walla Walla long before it came in front of the council. So I've been excited about this for years, and I'm glad to see that we are moving forward on this, and whatever we can do to make this happen, and to work with the community college district to create that, because we have vineyards all over the place now. I mean, there's so much land that is turning over to vineyards. So if we can make this thing happen, wow, I think that this will really make a turn in tourism for our area, and I'm excited about it. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Josh, thank you for this. This has been a really great report to be witnessing. I've really enjoyed learning about all of this. So the first comments on the tourism thing, I share in the excitement on that. I think this is just a really productive way to move forward. And I was going to actually bring up the regional approach. I know the Tri-Valley has, I think it's Visit Tri-Valley, if I remember right, but they do a lot of investment collectively so that they can improve their brand and they can do more tourism forward activities that bring people into the Tri-Valley specifically to spend their money in that region. So I love the idea of a regional approach, and I don't know what cities specifically out in East County would be the best fit for that. But considering the wine growers and the farms, I think expanding into some of the unincorporated areas and maybe tweaking the investment to be the percentage of, population, et cetera. I think that's just all really good, positive stuff. Question about the small business. I used to hear from small businesses that our process for bringing them into town was rather clunky. That it was kind of a challenge for a small business to be able to go through that process. It took a long time. It was very expensive. It was just challenging in general, the whole application process, the signage, all of that. What have we done or are we currently doing to streamline the process and make it easier? We talked about incentives, but I mean, as far as like process, what have we done to improve that?
Sure. So thank you. That's a great question, Councilmember. So small businesses are really the lifeblood of the Brentwood community, and so we're here to support them. So first and foremost, if any small business is going through a potential expansion or renovation and they have questions, they're welcome to reach out to economic development. We'll be their liaison services to development services and planning, and they can get their answers coordinated through us as well as through the development services department. So yeah, as a small business, it's hard sometimes. It is challenging. This isn't something that's just particular to Brentwood. Often the small business may not have all the resources or knowledge of what's required by, let's say, the building code or the planning review process. Economic development is here to be a resource to them, so they're welcome to contact us and we can help walk them through. But also kind of a shout out to our development services team. We have a good working relationship, so when we do a handoff to a business that may be working to get things figured out, the building team, development services, planning, they're all pretty responsive to when there may be an issue that they work out a solution with that small business. In terms of policy and process, certainty in the process is always good. So I know that the council had been considering potential zoning updates. So anything related to that would be a process improvement as it relates to economic development, and where it creates more certainty and objectiveness to help. If I'm a small business owner, I can look at the zoning code, a specific plan, that sort of thing, and generally understand it. So I think that's one of the things that when we look at downtown and the Brentwood Boulevard specific plans, as those are updated, how do we make those friendly to the small businesses that occupy them and future small businesses that are going to go into those locations? In terms of process, I mean, there's probably quite a few things we can do. And ultimately it's a case by case basis. So we just need to understand what that business's particular concerns or issues are, and then we'll help them work through that with the great teamwork at development services and building.
Great, thank you. The other point I wanted to discuss, the release of information you mentioned for new businesses once they're confirmed. I know our chamber does a lot for new businesses that join the chamber, but we also know there are a lot of businesses that don't choose to do that either because of the investment or the staffing required to go to meetings or whatever it is. So when we've got new businesses, can we expand the way we promote them as they are officially launched? And I say that because there's constantly a buzz on every social media platform that I've ever seen that talks about, did you hear about this restaurant? Did you hear about this store? And when are they coming? And then, of course, there's misinformation, but there's also a lot of excitement that comes from that. And I think if we can really build and boost businesses right before they launch, so that as soon as they're on the ground, they can start getting people in the door. Can we look at ways to really improve that? Obviously, Better in Brentwood is a big part of that, and the spotlight would be, I'm sure, incredibly helpful. But our social media campaigns may be wrapped around dropping hints once things are established, and look at countdowns to new businesses that people are hearing about and that are excited about.
Yeah, that's great. So I want, just as much as anyone on the council or city staff, I want to be able to get some wins for our community. So if that means it's a new regional retailer that we don't have in the market, a new high quality hotel, we're going to, as soon as that developer feels comfortable that the project is going to move forward and we release public information, first the council will be notified, and then we'll also market that. But we certainly can enhance as we get potential wins, potential new development. We can certainly enhance that through the Better in Brentwood platform, social media platforms, as well as the city platforms. And then one of the things that we do, for instance, when Sportsman's Warehouse and potential tenants at Lone Tree came in 511, excuse me. So we worked with the corporate groups representing both those as well as the property owner and made a press release on their behalf and coordinated with them about information about the positive benefits that come to it. And so that's really our goal, is to tell the story of the wins we get for the community and the positive benefits. Not only is it a good rewarding thing for all the hard work the council and the staff are doing, but also it shows other potential retailers and developers that, hey, there's things happening in Brentwood and they should consider us for their next location.
And I think, thanks, you bring up a really good point about the press releases. I would love to see a press release for every new business that opens its doors. I think it's something that we can do fairly easily that will help drive that business in there. And then, of course, any kind of social media campaigns that are going to broaden the Better in Better in Brentwood branding. I've seen a lot of the videos coming up, and I think they're great. I would agree with Councilmember Mendoza that Brentwood on Ice is getting a lot of really positive attention. I'm sure it's bringing a lot of people into town, but I would love to invite other businesses throughout town to take part in that. And if I understand correctly, we can, as council members, reach out to some of these smaller businesses and suggest that?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
we'd love to support it.
So any kind of a cross-marketing that we can do between our own social media sites and linking people to the Better in Brentwood Facebook page or website, unique website. And there is I need to double check, I probably should know this, but there is a connection to the Better in Brentwood site that is really visible and highlighted on our city website? Or if there isn't, can we do more to highlight that?
Under economic development. Yeah, under economic development, there'll be a Better in Brentwood. But what we would suggest is going to betterinbrentwood.com. Mm-hmm. And then they could every business can sign up for a spotlight. They can list their business for free if they have an active business license, and then they can list any particular events they have going on for free as well. And we'll highlight those for them as well.
Can we do anything on the main page of our website to highlight the request for people to visit that page? There's so much more to it than just promoting businesses. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, it looks like all the questions have been answered. Thank you so much, Josh, for that presentation and your outstanding job. You always do. But I'll turn it back to Tim for